five-star buzz. Let's start with Trey McNutt. Some big news here. Trey McNutt, the five-star out of Shaker Heights, Ohio. He's going to be at Texas A&M this weekend. Now, he's trending towards Oregon. Probably would have selected the Ducks last weekend had his decision gone off his plan. But now Texas A&M has another opportunity to show him one more shot, one more chance to lure him in.
Josh, I'm texting with Trey McNutt right now, and he tells me that he will be at Oregon after this Texas A&M visit this weekend. So he's going to see his top two schools one more time before announcing college decision on the On3 Recruits channel on August 3rd. I still like where Oregon stands going into these finals, but obviously he wants to give Texas A&M one more. Talks about the elite safety coaching between Mike Elko and Coach Ish. But I still think that Oregon is the program to beat, and they'll get the final say in Trey McNutt's process. I also want to say thanks to Andy Staples, who's given us our setup here given us his setup here at Big Ten Media here at Lincoln Oil Stadium. Make sure you're watching his show 6 days a week over at the On3 YouTube channel.
So who do you like for Trey McNutt right now?
Oregon, Josh. I'm still riding with the Ducks. That's where my On3 RPM is. I always reserve the right to change my mind, but I think that Oregon is the one to beat going into these next two visits. It's up to Texas A&M to flip that during his 2 days on campus, Thursday and Friday. Then they have to maintain it through one more Oregon visit and then a week before he announces with us on the On3 YouTube channel, On3 Recruits YouTube channel.
All right, now five-star athlete Michael Terry out of the state of Texas is going to have a whirlwind weekend in this final visit weekend of the summer. Tell the people about Michael Terry's 3-visit weekend.
Yeah, he's going to have an exciting 6 days. It's Texas for 2 days today. Then he gets back to Oregon, going to be a massive recruiting weekend for the Ducks in Eugene for Saturday Night Live. And then he's going to spend Monday and Tuesday of next week before the dead period back at Nebraska. That is a newly added trip for the Huskers. So those are the three programs that look to be the front runners. Texas A&M fading in the top four. But Texas, Oregon, and Nebraska now fighting it out for Michael Terry, the number one ranked athlete.
Yeah, that's pretty big news for Oregon, especially since they're losing Deshaun Brom. At least that's on the RPM. A lot of foot picks going in for him to Tennessee. So would Michael Terry kind of alleviate that loss of Brom if that happens?
Well, Michael Terry III is obviously one of the most versatile offensive players in the country. That's why we rank him as the number one athlete in the land. And when we had him at the On3 Elite Series in May, Josh, as you know, he told me that he thought maybe he would play some running back on the next level. Then 10 minutes later told you wide receiver. That's how versatile he is. He could certainly fill an offensive void for Oregon if they do indeed lose Deshaun Brame to Tennessee, which is how I see that recruitment trending going into the weekend for the Vols. But Michael Terry's a guy that Oregon was prioritizing and wanted to have in the fold alongside Deshaun Brame. But certainly if they're able to add Michael Terry, if they lose Deshaun Brame, that softens the blow.
All right. Now you have some intel on offensive tackle David Sanders. You texted me this morning and said, Josh, I want to talk David Sanders. So go ahead.
Well, I still think that there's a good possibility that he ends up taking some visits this weekend. And the first school you think about is Nebraska. When you look at his Final Four, he's been to the other three programs several times. An opportunity to get back to Nebraska, I think, could be crucial in this recruitment as they make a move here in the Final Four. And these other finalists are not sleeping on Nebraska right now. And then Tennessee, closer to home, they got a big recruiting weekend this weekend. So wouldn't be surprising if we saw him pop up in Knoxville as well. I know him and his family continue to work through their schedule, their itinerary. But Samantha Sanders told me a week ago what school is going to get that final look for David Sanders. If you're asking me who I think it could be, I think Nebraska and Tennessee are the two from the Final Four that make the most sense.
Well, what should Ohio State fans feel if David Sanders goes to Knoxville and then visits Nebraska as well? I mean, how should they feel after this weekend?
Well, obviously you wish he was on your campus every single day, but they've gotten him to Columbus quite a bit, 3 times this calendar year, then 1 time last fall. There's still regular communication with David Sanders and all his finalists. Nebraska and Tennessee are having big recruiting weekends this weekend. So those are other reasons why those two schools make sense.
All right, safety Jonah Williams out of the state of Texas, the number one safety in the country. He's going to be on two campuses this weekend. He's going to be at Texas today on Thursday. Then he's going to take a 2-day trip to LSU. What does that mean for Jonah Williams and his recruitment? And he's also set a decision date for August 25th.
Yeah, I think he's still undecided going into that date, but I think this is a recruitment that could go a few different ways. You know, there was a time where I thought Texas A&M emerged as a leader following several visits in the spring. But LSU, when you talk to sources around this recruitment, they're in the top 2 or 3. And then Oregon was a program that there was some positive vibes coming out of his official visit to Eugene in June. Texas A&M, I don't feel the same amount of confidence around College Station, although they still hang around in that recruitment. And so, we'll see what happens here down the stretch as it really ramps up for Jonah Williams, who's also going to play baseball at the school of his choice. He's hitting 94 miles per hour this summer on his fastball. That's pretty darn good for a left-hander. So coveted in both sports. LSU, Billy Embody just fired in an on-3 RPM prediction for LSU right now. I'm not feeling bad about that pick right now. I'm sitting on Texas A&M, but I'm a little worried about it as I talk to you this morning.
All right. Now, quarterback Julian Lewis. It's been too quiet on the Julian Lewis front. Now, he did tell us at the Nashville event, on 3 Elite event, that he was going to make a final decision this summer. He was going to make some sort of announcement. What are you hearing on Julian Lewis? And do you think that we're going to get some finality on his recruitment this summer?
You know, I don't know. I think it's just one thing that's remained fluid, but I'll say this. I think there's confidence around USC that he'll remain in the fold. I think there's confidence around Colorado that they ultimately flip him. Indiana lying in the weeds with Tino Sinceri having the best relationship with Julian Lewis and his family. Auburn is the program that at times we thought was hot in this recruitment. Maybe they get hot again. Maybe Julian Lewis, if he were to call Hugh Freeze and say, I want in, they can't turn that down. I also think that Auburn's looking at a couple other potential flips at that quarterback position right now. So it's real interesting to follow Auburn recruiting right now as they head into Big Cat recruiting weekend. But I think that there's, Julian Lewis has given these programs reason to feel confident at all those places at this point in the summer.
All right, guys, that's our 5-star buzz to open the show. Let us know, how do you feel about Trey McNutt, Michael Terry, David Sanders, Jonah Williams, Julian Lewis? Let us know. Comment section below.